Welcome back, everyone. And yes, I'm working on a Commodore 1530 dataset. Actually, two of them. As you can see, they're both apart in the process of being repaired. One of them, these were found by a friend, and when they're back together, one will be going to him for use, and one will be staying here that I'll be using. And I'm not showing everything of the repairs because that would be like probably an hour-long video, and I mean, who wants to watch somebody fix a tape recorder for an hour? But as you can see, this one's got some scuff marks and wear, which I will be touching up some of these marks on this one. The other one's in better condition, which you'll see in a minute or three. Something that's been bothering me on this one is this right here, where I've got this JB weld. What's happened? This actually is what's giving me the trouble. This nylon part and the plastic stem that it's mounted on. What's happening is this part is supposed to rock back and forth as the tape is ejected. And as you can see, it's hopefully, as you can see, it's popping up and down, which it shouldn't normally be doing. This part should actually be moving forward and backward this way. If you look here on this unit, yeah, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but that's how it should normally work. So yeah. So anyways, I've got to get this JB weld sanded down, which I'll be doing off camera. So I can mount the screw and spring, which are like this here. So anyways, get that out of the way. And as you can see, I did some also off camera, because that's just, I've replaced the belts on this, which okay, that's another thing I gotta fix, is these buttons. But yeah, I've got to this belt here, which is the counter, and this belt here, which is the of course the drive spindle, which is this motor here, and these two spindles, which I got from, hopefully you can actually, this is the one here, from these guys. It's probably, well, should be probably hard to read, but it's console5.com. It's a place in the States that sells over the internet replacement parts for anything from arcade machines to old computers like what we like. And with this, actually, it's not too bad once you take a look at it and figure out what to do with it. But basically I had to loosen up this screw here to lift up this metal plate, and also remove these two screws here, and that would allow me to lift this metal plate to get the this belt around, and also to allow the tape counter belt to pass under here. Actually, it's not too hard, because this lever actually can lift up to allow that under there, but just makes it easier to do. And also I had to lift this board up a bit to get the just to make it easier to fit the belt under, just this belt under this one spin wheel right here. So anyways, that's where this is at right here, and while I'm here, I think I'll get this unit. I'm going to try to get this unit back together, all its let's see. Yes. Actually, I should take a look at this. So, back in a minute. Actually, that was an easy fix. The fast forward and rewind had flopped down, but just doing the eject also got that sorted out. I let them just spring back into place. Another thing I'd done, of course, is I used a bit of isopropyl alcohol, aka rubbing alcohol. I cleaned the heads and the rollers here, and this as well, and some of the section around in here, which had, well, pretty much 40 years worth of dust in there, which was very messy. And so that'll get some of that dust out of there to get that. Let's see. And the one thing that's always a bit of a pain with these is getting this particular cable lined up with the back of the case, because it tends to bend and flex and want to go out of the way as I'm working on it. So, especially when I'm getting it lined up with these posts here. And of course, it also can be a bit of a nuisance with these little isolation spacers, which are like this. I'll have to figure out where that one went later on. Yes, that one goes out of the goes in the other 1530 there. And anyways, just a normal screwdriver, of course, Phillips head, and the screws which I have over here. Yes, right there. And that little metal bowl is a handy thing. It's got a magnet on the underside so that when I put screws in there, they stay in there and they don't end up on the floor rolling under the table or some cabinet. Because when they do drop, they always end up falling somewhere where I never end up finding them again. Okay. The only hiccup is, of course, reminding myself of which screws go where. So back again once I've dug them out. Okay, got that sorted out. So what I got to do is get this top cover back on, and this is the intact one. The other one I'll be fixing once this one's back together. And I will be testing these as well to make sure they're working, which they should do, as the electronics were working beforehand. But anyways, yeah. And actually one of these tape decks, the tapes or these belts were still in good enough shape that they mostly worked. I could actually load a few programs off of one of my tapes with one of them, but I replaced the belts in both anyways, as they are pretty much 40 years old, or close to it. Yeah, actually, I am going to open this up again, because there's a bit of binding in there. And I want to make sure that nothing is going to be crunched under there, or damaged in any way. So, but I think it's just this cable binding up under the cover. So and that's just what I was talking about. Screw drops out of place, and luckily it just, for once, landed in a spot where it's easy to find. Okay. This is like a lot like an Atari 1010 that I've just been fixing up at the same time, which also goes back together a whole lot easier if it's done upside down, just like this one.